Hello everybody, I am Krishna Rao Patro. Today I will discuss about one important concept, that is access modifiers in Java. What are the different types of access modifiers are there? This is also known as access specifier also. So in Java you can specify which element I should access, which element I should not access, and what is the protection level. Those things we will discuss here. Access modifiers is also known as access specifiers also. These access modifiers are generally these four categories: private, default, protected, and public. So while writing your Java program, some item, that means either elements, means the variables or the methods, maybe under private or default or protected or public category. So they are the four important types of access modifiers are there. So depending upon the type of keyword, you can use these keywords for your application, whichever having more security, whichever item is more important, that you keep in private part. The item which is little bit important, put in default, then put in protected, and if it is very loose, not it can be known to anybody, then keep in public. So you can see the direction, which is or which item should be more secure, put in private area. Which item is less secure, then put in public area. This is the hierarchy of the access modifiers. So these are the four important access modifiers or specifiers in Java. In some book they will say access modifier, in some book they will say access specifier. Both are same only. Don't worry for that. This access specifiers or the modifiers you can use along with the class, along with subclass, along with non-subclass, along with this different packages. So if it is a public data, you can access in the class. Public item can be accessed in the class. Similarly, public item can be accessed in the subclass. Public item can be accessed in the non-subclass. So if it is public, you can access in the subclass also. If the data of your class is public, then you can access in the non-subclass. So public category data can be accessed in the same package, in class, in subclass, in non-subclass, as long as you are in the same package. If it is different package, you can access this public data in subclass as well as in the non-subclass also. So that means public data I can access everywhere. There is no restriction. Whereas if it is private, I can access in the same class only. Whereas if my data is private of a class, then I cannot access in the subclass. So not possible. Similarly, non-subclass, private data I cannot access. So this private data you can access only in the same class only. You cannot access in the subclass or non-subclass. Similarly, if you go to other package, there also you cannot access. Similarly, if you go to other package non-subclass, there also you cannot access. So private data can be accessed within the same class only. Similarly, if it is a protected data, you can access in the same class, you can access in the subclass, you can access in a non-subclass of the same package. Whereas if it is a protected, you can access in the different package subclass, but you cannot access in the non-subclass. So this is the nature of this type of protection. So you must know where I should access and where I should not access. Similarly, if it is a default data, that means if you have not used any of the keyword, no public, no private, no protected, automatically the data comes under the default category. So if it is a default category, I can access in the same class, I can access in the subclass, I can access in the non-subclass of the same package. Whereas if it is different package, this default package is also equivalent to private. So that's why you cannot access in the different package subclass. Similarly, you cannot access in the default means other package non-subclass. So in these two places you cannot access. So these are the access specifier you have to use for your member. That member may be a variable or that member may be a method of a class. Remember, this access modifier and specifiers both are same. And this Java modifiers, but the access modifiers are two types. access modifiers and non-access modifiers. Under access modifiers, public, default, private and protected. These four comes under access modifiers. And there are other non-access modifiers like final, static, abstract, volatile, synchronized, transient, strict FV. They are set of keywords. These keywords to be used in the non-access modifiers. So remember, these four comes under access modifiers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 comes under the non-access modifiers. They are the standard keywords generally used for the different purpose, not for the controlling the data accessibility. You can change its behavior, not changing the behavior of accessibility. So whenever you want to change its behavior or its functionality, then you can use these keywords. So try to remember, there are two categories of modifiers: access modifiers and non-access modifiers. So your public static void you are writing now, the static comes under non-access modifiers. Once you write static, that become class variable. Similarly, once you write final, that become constant. So like this, you are changing the behavior of the particular item. So they are the non-access modifiers. So access modifiers you can use for a different purpose. Whenever you want to use this access modifiers for class you can use either public or default. These are the two modifiers you can use along with the class. For classes, you can use either public or default. Generally, you are writing class assume student. If you are not writing anything, that comes under default. If nothing is mentioned before the class, that is default. But sometimes you may write like this: public class student. Then open bracket, close bracket. That means you are writing public keyword. So before class, either you will not write anything, that is default, or you can write public. These are the two modifiers are used for the class. So if you write public, the class is accessible by any other class. It is accessible everywhere. That is the nature of public. Similarly, if you are writing default, the class is accessible in the same package. Also, it is equivalent to public in the same package. But if you go to other package, you cannot access. This is used when you do not specify a modifier. You will learn about the package in the same package chapter. Okay. Next, for attribute also, you can use these access modifiers. You can use public, you can use private, you can use default, you can use protected. For attribute, you can use all the 4 types of modifiers. If it is public, this code is accessible for all classes. If it is public, I can access everywhere. Similarly, if it is private, the code is used only accessible within the declared class. Wherever you declared, in that class only you can use. Similarly, default, this code is accessible in the same package. This is used when you do not specify a modifier. You will learn about this more in this package. This code is accessible in the same package class, and you will learn about more about this subcode and subclass. Protected can be used in the same and subclasses. Similarly, there is something called non-access modifiers. For classes, you will use either final or abstract. These are the two non-access modifiers. The final you can use before the class. The abstract also you can use before the class. Okay. If you write final before the class, then the class become final. That means you cannot extend. This class cannot be inherited by other class. This class cannot be similar abstract. The class cannot be used to create object. You can specify only abstract information. Similarly, for attributes and methods, you can use one of following. You can use final, you can use static, you can use abstract, you can use transient, you can use synchronize, you can use volatile. These are the different types of non-access modifiers are there. Those modifiers means non-access modifiers you can use along the attributes or methods. Once you write the final before method then or attribute, then that cannot be overridden or that cannot be changed. That means the method is final, you cannot override. Similarly, static, If you write it's a static, then that become a class member. Attributes and methods belong to the class rather than object. Similarly, if you write abstract, generally abstract keyword can be used along with the methods. If the method is abstract, then there will not have a body. There will not have any body. Similarly, transient. Attributes and methods skipped when the serializing the object containing them. If it is transient, you cannot serialize. You cannot store in a non-volatile area. Similarly, synchronize. Methods can only be accessed by one thread at a time. If you use synchronize, that resource can be used by only one thread at a time, but not multiple thread. So if you want to control the resource in a multi-threading environment, then you keep that resource in a synchronized area, so that that item can be accessible by only one thread at a time. Similarly, volatile. The value of attribute not catch thread locally and is always read from the main memory only. So these are the standard keywords are there, but non-access modifiers are there. Those things we can use along with attributes and methods. A small example of static versus public. How you can differentiate what is static and what is public. If you write static keyword, static is what? That comes under non-access modifiers. If static is given before the method, then that method becomes a class method. That means this method is accessible by all object. Only one copy will be there, and that will be shared by all object. Similarly, if I write public, public says what? It is accessible everywhere. But it is not instance, means that it is not a class variable. For every instance, you will have a separate copy. Whereas here for static, for every instance, only one copy will be there. So that is the difference in static and public. So public tells about where I can access. Static tells about how many copies are there, whether single copy or multiple copy. Similarly here, my static method 1 we are calling, automatically this method will be called, because if it is a static method, you can call directly. Similarly, if it is a non-static method, now simply if you write public, this become non-static method, or also known as instance method. If it is instance method, you can call through instance only. So now here my public method is an instance method that I have to call through object only. So that's why my object equal to new main, my object dot. So this you can call. So public method says yes, you can access in any class. You can access in any class. There is no restriction for the public. Whereas the static says you can access in any object. Only one copy will be there. That's the main difference. Similarly, you can use some final access modifiers, non-access modifiers. Final non-access modifiers. Non-access modifiers. If you use final, then that variable will become constant. This become final, also known as constant. So whenever you want to fix, or whenever you do not want to permit to change, then you write a final non-access modifiers. So already I think in the previous session also you have seen how to use the final. So whenever you want to make a constant data, then use always final. So here my x is a final, similar pi also final. This final data, if you are trying to overwrite, now see x is final, but I am trying to overwrite, then here I will get error. Did you observe here? If I write my obj.x equal 50, then because x is already final, you cannot assign, so you will get error. Similarly here also, my obj.pi equal to, here I am writing 25. Here I said pi is fixed 3.140. Lifelong the value should be constant. I cannot modify. So here also you get error. So if you write this way, it generates error. So this is the way you can use this non-access modifiers. So every non-access modifier having its own nature. Generally, you will be using the static keyword, final keyword, abstract keyword. They are the frequently used non-access modifiers. These things you should know how to use. Similarly, abstract. there is one more keyword called abstract. This abstract keyword can be used along with the class as well as along with the method. So when you write along with the class, it says that class is abstract. If the class is abstract, you cannot create instance. You cannot create object. Abstract class cannot allow to create object. That means for abstract class you cannot create objects. Right? Now here my class name is main. In the main class I am having one abstract method. What is the name of the method? Study. This method also abstract method. So remember, if it is abstract method, then you have to use the keyword called abstract. And whenever the method is abstract, you should not have a open bracket and close bracket. No body at all. If there is no body, then the method is abstract. That means this method you have to override in the child class. So here, whenever one of the method is abstract, then the class also abstract. Here now my main method is abstract method. Okay. Now class student extends main. Now this main class I should implement in the child. So every abstract class must and should be overridden. Must and should be overridden in the child class. Now in the main class I am overriding. So main is the child of, student is the child of main class. Now whenever you are overriding, then this method, what method? The study method is my abstract. It must be overridden in the student class. So here I wrote studying all the day long. So the student is studying. That message I wrote. So that means I am writing my own logic. So this is my implemented class. So every abstract class must and should be overridden in the child class. After the class is ready, then I will create instance. I will create my object. So now second is the class. Public static void main. Create an object of the student class which inherits the attributes and method from the main. Now here my method, which method is inherit means abstract. The study is abstract. This method I am overriding in my child class. Which is the child class? The student in the child class. In the student class, I am overriding the study method. So every abstract method must and should be overridden in the child class. This point you should remember. Now here once the method is overridden, then I can create instance of the child class. Now student is my class. My obj is the object equal to new student. That means automatically my object is ready. There I am calling my obj dot f name. What is that f name? Already in the main method I wrote Johan. Similarly, my obj dot age. My age how much? 24. Because now the main is my parent. The parent's property is automatically available to the child because it's a public attributes. I told you if the variable is a public type, then that is accessible to parent as well as child also. It is available in the parent as well as subclass also. So I can get the age. Here I will get the name Johan. My age 24. Then here I am asking graduation year. My obj dot graduation year. My graduation year. Where is the graduation year? Here name is there, age is there. Graduation year is available in my student class 2018. So here I will get 2018. So I can get my parents data as well as my own data also. So these three data I am able to access. And when I call my obj dot study, then automatically the study method of my child is called because it is already overridden. So it goes there and prints studying all day long. Studying all day long. This message will be printed. So this is the way it works. So these are the different types of non-access modifiers. These non-access modifiers you can use in the class as well as in the method. Now I'll show you a small program also how these things are displayed. I'll go to the notepad. Class access demo. Small example. Now see, here before the class I did not write anything. If I am not writing anything, this comes under default. So you may write, may not write. As long as you are in the same package, there is no problem. If you are not writing anything, this comes under default. The default is also equivalent to public. Now, let me write here public int some roll number. Public int roll number. Then I'll write here private int my pin, ATM pin number, and my roll number anybody can know, but my ATM pin nobody should know. Similarly, I'll write here protected my total mark int total. So I want to store my total mark also, but in the protected area. This will be known to me as well as my derived members. Similarly, I'll write here my name. Now here I kept the string under default. So while writing program, you may choose some item public, some private, some protected, and some under default. If at all you do not want to write anything, that comes under default. Now let me write my method public static void main string arguments array. Okay. This method, how many attributes are there? 4 attributes are there. These 4 attributes, I want to access it. How will I access? Can I access directly? No, because they are all instance variables. They are all instance variables. If it is instance variable, you have to access through object only. So remember, these are all instance variables. Instance variable. Instance variables can be accessed through instance only. Instance means object. So first of all, I have to create object of access demo. Access demo obj. Now obj dot roll number. Now roll number is public type, so I can access through object. So roll number equal to, assume I'll write here 101. Similarly, obj dot my ATM pin equal to, assume I'll write my ATM pin is 2345 and my total mark obj dot my total mark, assume my total mark is 75 marks. Similarly, obj dot my name is, assume Krishna. Okay. So these 4 items I kept and I am assigned value. Now if I run the program, you see what kind of errors you are getting. Control C, Control S, Control V dot Java. My program is saved. Now go to the command prompt. Now Java C, access demo. Yeah, program compiled, but there is error. What is that error? Obj dot roll number. Here, if you observe here, it is what is written. Variable obj might have been not initialized. That means object is not initialized, but you are trying to access. So without creating the object properly, you cannot record those data. So to overcome this error, what I have to do? First of all, I have to instantiate. Simply declaring is not enough. So you have to allocate memory for the object. Then only you can access. Simply declaring is not sufficient. You have to allocate memory. You have to initialize it. How to initialize? Obj equal to new followed by access demo. This is my constructor. So remember, whenever you want to access any instance variable, then you have to create object first. After creating object, through object you can access. So now this error should go away. If observe here, yeah, now this error has gone. Now Java access demo. Now if I try to print system dot out dot println my roll number plus obj dot roll number. So here I am printing my roll number. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control. Now these 4 items I want to print. Roll number, my ATM pin, and my total mark, and my name. 4 items are there under 4 different categories. Now you try to print it, compile it. Yeah, I got all the values because I am in the same class and I am trying to access. Now, assume I'll make one because different types of access modifiers and access specifiers we are going to use. Static string college name. Assume I'm having multiple students with same college. So if all belong to same college, then what I'll do, I'll keep that variable in static category. That means that is a class variable. So here I'll make this as a IARE. Fine. This kept in a IARE. So if I'm trying to access this class variable, college name is my class variable. This one I want to print it. So I can print this one directly without creating object. That is the difference in static and non-static. Now see, college name. So directly I can write here through object as well as through without object also. Now see, this I am calling without object also. This is with object, with obj. This is without obj. Now see. Yes, compile it. Yeah, I got same IARE through both the way. So this is the nature of the static variable. So whenever your program demands a common data to be shared by all objects, then you keep always in a static. So this is the importance of the static. Now static comes under your non-access modifier. So depending upon the requirement of your application, you can choose the corresponding keywords. Similarly, assume I may say some final keyword, final int marks, max marks equal to 100. Now assume I kept one maximum mark is 100. That means maximum mark should not change. It should be fixed. But later on, I may ask you to change the maximum mark to be 200. In that case, what I will do? My obj dot max mark equal to, for example, I want to make it 150. Now what will happen? Because I said already final, but here I am assigning. Yeah, now it is giving error. Because you said that it is a final. Final means nobody should allow to change. That's why it is giving error. So, if it is a final, you cannot modify. So, that is the nature of final keyword. So, depending upon your need, you can use the corresponding keywords. So, there are different types of access modifiers. So, in your future days, you have to use these keywords in a proper manner so that your data will be more secure and more customized. Similarly, I will define one. Assume there is a class A, int I or int A, int A. So that means this comes under default. Private int B, protected int C, and public int D. So 4 variables are there in 4 different categories. Now class A is my parent. Here I am writing class B extends A. So if I write this statement, it says what? B is the child of A. Now because of this inheritance, I am able to access my parent's data. But which data I can access? I can access my default data, I can access protected, I can access public, but not private, because private cannot be accessed by the child. Private can be used in the same class only. Now, if at all I am having a method called set data, assume I am having a method called set data. Set data is a method. Here I want to set. What I have to set? Whatever the variables are there in my parent, those data I want to assign in my child. Assume I want to assign A equal to 10, A equal to 10, B equal to 20, and C equal to 30, and D equal to 40. So actually the declaration is given in the parent, but we are trying to utilize in child, because B is the child class, A is the parent class. But these variables are, members are defined in parent. So definition in one place, usage in another place. This data I want to print it. Word show. After assigning, I want to show the data. So how to show? So here I'll write system dot out dot println A value. A value how much? Because A is under default. So if it is default, directly I can print it. So if nothing is given, this comes under default. Now I want to access B also. Now in B, I supposed to get error, because you don't have right to use B. Here I am writing B. First let me see whether error is coming or not. And C. C is under protection. Means protected data can be utilized by child. There is no restriction for this. Similarly D. D is already in public. If it is public, it can be accessed by any class. Now, name of the class is B. Now, class demo data. So, what kind of data I can access? Let me create. So, there I will write my driver method, public, static, void, main, string, argument array, create object of, actually I will create object of B, because in B I am doing set data and show data, but B derived from A. So whatever the properties are there in A, that will be available to my child. So now B is the class, obj is the object, equal to new B. Fine. Automatically one object is created. Now I will call obj dot set data. Now when I call set data method, automatically the cursor goes to this place. So when I am trying to use this one, A is 10. A means default. That okay. This part I will not get any problem. Whereas I am trying to assign B. B is what? B is my private data of my parent. So here I will get error, because private data cannot be accessed by the child. So you will get an error. What about the C? C is my protected one. Protected data can be derived by the child. There is no problem. This is also okay. Whereas D D is public, anybody can access. So there is no restriction. So you will get an error here. So the name of the class is what? Demo data. Control C. After setting, then I'll call show data. Obj dot show. Control S. Control V dot Java. So my program is saved. Demo data. Go to the program. Java. Demo data. Could not find or load. Demo data. Control C. Control S. Java C. Demo data Java. Yeah, now there is error. What is that error? B has private access. So here you got the error. So to overcome this error, it says that do not use the private data. So you don't have right to use the private data directly of your parent. So this must be avoided. So I should avoid this. Put comment. Now, yeah, there that error gone. But in the show method, I am trying to display the data also. So private data you cannot modify, as well as you cannot display also. You cannot even see the data also. So that's why in the show I am getting error while printing B. So I'll put comment. So that means I cannot access. Now let us run. Yes. Now both error removed. Java demo data. Yes, I got A value, C value as well as D value, but not B value. B value, if I am trying to access, it is giving error. So do not use B value. So this is the way you can use this access modifiers and access specifiers of different types. Fine. Yeah. So today you have seen various types of access specifiers as well as non-access specifiers. So those things you have to use in the coming days. Okay. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.